Hey everyone. Hi. Welcome back to the Savvy Sales Lady Live. I am so happy to be with you once again. Every time I see that intro, I think about all the different hairstyles I've had over the years, and now I've got a new one on top of that. And the funny thing of it is, my business is going to be 10 years old this year. It's just hard to believe the Savvy Sales Lady has been around for 10 years. And if you'll notice back here, my little kitties are with me tonight, and they're going to join us and hopefully stay off my desk so their tails aren't swishing around in front of me. So I am so glad to be with you and to start our discussion on harsh sales advice. This is everything I wish I would have known when I started selling 10 years ago, or 10 years ago. I almost said 10 decades ago, too. Jeez, 4 decades ago. I've been in corporate sales for over 42 years when I started my business. So, I started my sales career at age 2. Not really. So, why harsh sales advice? So many times we know what we should do, but we're just not doing it. All the time when I'm coaching, I hear from a salesperson, "Oh gosh, Christine, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I should be doing that. I don't know why I stopped doing it." We know, but we often don't do it. So, all of these are reminders of what I'm going to share with you tonight. And please stick around to the end because I have a bonus for you. Got to give you a freebie, got to give you a bonus. So keep sticking with us to the very end. So, item 10, I'm going to go count down from 10 to number 1 being the most important. Okay. Objections are a way of life. The difference between managing an objection and overcoming one. Do you know what the difference is? So, overcoming an objection implies that you are trying to overcome what the buyer is telling you, what the buyer roadblock that they're putting up in front of you between closing that deal or not. It could be a wide variety of things. I'm not interested, or this is the wrong timing, or, I'll have to talk to the purchasing department about this. There'll be all kinds of ways to stall that decision, and they'll give you all kinds of objections. When you're trying to overcome an objection, you're pushing. When you're managing an objection, you're aligning with the prospect. You are agreeing with the prospect. That doesn't mean that you're buying into their excuse. Okay, doesn't mean that at all. But if you become adversarial by pushing, you for sure have lost that opportunity. That's why you want to cultivate an alignment by managing the objection. Tell me more about that. You must have your reasons for saying this. Do you mind sharing with me a few of those? Align with them. Don't push. And still in today's marketplace, I still see people pushing. Okay, number 9, harsh sales advice. Rejection is feedback. Choose to learn. Okay, what do I mean by that? Choose to learn. Choose to learn instead of making excuses. Well, The economy is so bad, nobody's buying. Our price is way too high. If I could just get a mid-level price, I know I can sell more. It's raining outside. Nobody's buying today. I actually heard something similar to that one time in a coaching call. I kid you not. Don't make excuses. Learn from the rejection that you're getting. Recently I asked for some feedback on a project that I was working on, and it wasn't rejection, but the two people that gave me their opinion, I was grateful for what they had to say and for the feedback they were giving me. I didn't take it personally. I asked for it. I asked for it. And they were right. And so it really helped me in my project. So feedback doesn't have to be taken critically, especially if you're asking for it. And rejection isn't to be taken personally either. You don't know what's going on in that buyer's life. You don't know what happened to him or her during their day. You just don't know. So rejection isn't always bad. That old saying, that be thankful for unanswered prayers. How many times have you looked back in hindsight on something and you're thinking to yourself, "Boy, I'm glad that didn't work out." Right? So sometimes rejection, take it in a positive way. We don't know every aspect of a buyer's life and what they're going through or within the company that they work for or their department. We just don't know. So don't always take that as meaning something negative. Okay. So the harsh sales advice is, don't take it personally. Stiffen up your spine. All right. Number 8, a no is a starting point. Everything up to that point is just window dressing. So, what do I mean by that? If you have never read this book, let me get it out. I wasn't planning on showing it to you today, but let me get it out. Jim Camp's Start with No. I absolutely love this book. And God rest Jim Camp's soul. He's deceased. But he is so right. Everything up to the no is just window dressing. It's just niceties. It's just people being pleasant and people being courteous to each other and getting to know each other. So when you get a no, now the real conversation can begin, right? So whenever I get a no, I always ask this next question. So tell me more about that, John. Tell me more about how you came to that conclusion that no is best for your business. You will be surprised how much it opens up that conversation and you end up my voice, guys. I've been coaching today and doing videos today. Give me a minute. When you get a no and you say, tell me more about how you arrived at that decision, that no. Tell me more about that. There's a couple of things in that, and that is your tone. So very calmly, you would say, well, tell me more about that, John. Tell me more about how you arrived at that no decision. Because, again, you don't know the background. And you'll be surprised how that opens up the conversation more. I have learned more when I have used that one little statement in a very calm voice, that there were things that I didn't know, which sent us down this whole other path of a conversation where we finally got to a yes. So, no isn't the end, it's the beginning. Seriously, you have got to read this book. Start with no. Jim Camp, just a brilliant book. I've had that book. Gosh, I want to say maybe 8 or 9 years. I've had that book. It just, I can't recommend it enough. He's got some YouTube videos out there if you want to watch him. But this book, let me tell you, was written, and I've got, I've read this thing, I can't remember how many times, at least 2 or 3 times. But he wrote this book, yeah, back in 2002. I knew it'd been a while. I didn't know it had been that long. Still relevant for today, I can tell you that, because it's been at least a decade when I bought that book. So I know it's just a starting point. It's not an end like most people think. It really isn't. Here's a really important harsh sales advice. And this is something I had to learn the hard way during 2020 and 2021. Adapt or perish. So I had one one full day workshop booked a month in 2020. So that was 12, one a month throughout the year. So in March, when we were all locked down in 2020, every week those workshops were canceling and canceling and canceling until I had held 2. January and February I held, March canceled, and then they all started canceling like dominoes. Well, I couldn't take that hit in my business. I just couldn't do it. And so I had to adapt or I was going to perish. I got to think back. I want to say a dozen or more small businesses that I had worked with up to that point in my coaching business that went belly up. I mean, it was heartbreaking to receive their emails to me telling me what they were going through. And I was reaching out to some of my former clients and asking them how they were doing, and trying to get a feel for how they were surviving. And it broke my heart to see how many of them were going to have to close their doors. They couldn't survive in the lockdown environment. So I didn't want to be one of those. So I started cold calling for small businesses. My forte has always been, well, I won't say always, because I was pretty pitiful in cold calling. I will say that, really pitiful. But I knew at that point in 2020, because I'd been cold calling for my business. I had cold called when I was in the insurance industry. I was used to it. I had perfected it. It was down to a science for me. So I started cold calling small businesses to see if I could cold call for them. And that's how I survived. And one of my clients, I had closed 26 deals for her in 9 days, and she ended up telling me I had to put the brakes on because she didn't have enough staff to accommodate what I had sold. So this wasn't a one and done. This was not unusual for me to do this. So it was a time and place that I had to adapt or perish. So I put my best skills forward, which was cold calling. I'm so excited about my cold calling course being almost done because I can't wait to share it with you. All right, let me go to number 6. If a customer always disrespects you, walk away. Life is too short to work with unpleasant people. I just had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with one of my coaching clients, and I kept telling her, this is going to continue. I don't care how many boundaries you set up. This person does not respect boundaries and will continue to disrespect your professional boundaries. You've got to walk away from this client. And she just wanted to try, and believe me, I know how hard it is to walk away from a client. I've had to walk away from some. I know how hard it is. But when people continue to disrespect you, walk away. Do not take it, because it will start eating at you. You'll start to have doubts. You'll start to develop imposter syndrome, like I see people do. Don't let that happen. Walk away. The money, it'll come back. Believe me, it will. It will. So don't let people disrespect you, especially your clients. And number 5, it's live, folks. I've got to, I've got to dab my nose when it's running. Number 5, it's the end of the first quarter. Do a deep assessment if you are behind. Don't let that snowball of being behind turn into an avalanche. I can't stress this enough. You've got to pull yourself up and look at the hard truth that you're behind. Don't blame it on your boss. Don't blame it on your goals are too high. True story, folks. When I was selling, it was life insurance, Medicare supplements, annuities, those kinds of products. Single mom, raising my son alone. He was in grade school at the time, and every month I was worried that I was not going to meet my goals, because if I didn't, it would impact my commission quite a bit. I was on commission sales then. Don't ever recommend that anyone be on commission sales these days, but I was on commission sales. And the other team members got together and decided they were going to have a talk with me. I was the only woman on the team. In most sales situations, I was always the only woman on the team. I don't know why. That's the way it was with the corporate insurance companies I worked with. But here I am on this team. The men have cornered me to have a meeting with me, telling me they wanted me to slow down because I was selling too much, and it was all going to look bad the following year because I outsold them, and they were going to increase, the company was going to increase all our goals, all our sales goals. So they told me, slow down, you're making us all look bad, and they'll just turn around and increase our sales goals next year. Well, I couldn't afford to do that. I mean, I was trying to be a team player, but it's like, hey guys, you all have wives that work. It's just me. No child support. It's just me. So I didn't slow down. And then I started looking for other areas to work in the insurance industry because I wasn't going to play that game. And I wasn't going to be forced to play that game. So do a deep assessment if you're behind. You do not want this to get out of control. And I know what you're thinking. I'll make it up next month. I'll make it up next month. No, you won't. You'll get further behind. There's a reason why you're falling behind. Figure it out. Have a hard talk with yourself. Don't let it snowball. Okay? Hard sales advice on that one. All right. Treat your sales career as your personal business. Too many times we let the corporations, the companies take control of our sales career. You take control of your sales career. This is one piece of advice that one of my old sales managers gave me. Now, keep in mind, 42 plus years of selling. I had two sales managers that were worth their weight in gold. That's it. All the rest were crap. Crap sales managers. Just two. And this one sales manager said to me, treat your sales career as your own personal business. That's how accountable you should be to your clients and to your prospects, that this is your business. It's not our company's business. It's your business. Treat it that way. And when I started doing that, boy, did that make the biggest difference in the world. I got up in the morning, was excited to go into my little business and make an impact on my prospects and my customers that day. Total shift in my mindset. Just that one simple piece of advice. I don't care who you're working for, treat your sales career as your own personal business. All right, number 3, social media is a must. Now, I don't mean your personal social media account where your meme or your profile pic is a cat meme or something else. That's personal. You should have a business social media presence. Remember what I said in number 4? Remember what I said? Treat your sales career as your personal business. Well, social media gives you that chance to do just that. If you don't have a business profile on LinkedIn or a page on Facebook or on Instagram or on X or whatever else social media that you're connected with, you must get out there. And here's why. Whenever I coach a sales team or an individual, a personal, when I coach a personal individual sales rep, I always first go to LinkedIn and I look everybody up. Do you know, and I am dead serious about this, 99.9% of the people I look up don't even have a presence on LinkedIn. Oh, they might have thrown up a profile, but there's no header, there's no posts, there's no comments, there's no communication, there's no interaction at all. And on the other social media platforms, zilch. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. And I have coached and trained thousands of people. Now think about that. All these sales reps, these sales professionals out there don't have a professional social media presence. When your prospects are hearing from you, they're looking you up. They don't find you. They don't find you on LinkedIn. And let me tell you, they are looking. My own prospects that I target market to and the prospects that I reach out to, whether it's a business or a small business, they look on my LinkedIn profile. How do I know? Because it tells you who's clicked on your profile. So I can see they've looked at my profile. They are looking, everyone. And if you don't have a social media presence, they can't learn anything about you. They can't see how you do business. They don't know if they can trust you or not because they're not seeing any evidence of that. Do you see what I mean? It does not take but a few minutes each day to put a post out on LinkedIn or your Facebook feed. It could be what you're doing that day. Maybe you put a post out there that you're out seeing, 5 prospects that day. Maybe that's a post that you put out there. They can see that you're being active. I can't tell you how important that is. And I get a lot of feedback from not only salespeople, but from prospects that they have told me they feel like they know me even though they've never met me because they're following me on YouTube, they're following me on my Facebook page, they're following me on LinkedIn, they're following me on X, and they're following me on Instagram. And or they're on my newsletter. I get a lot of customers just from my newsletter because they feel like they've gotten to know me over the years. So I've done a newsletter for 10 years, everyone. During that 10 years, I've changed from platform to platform. But I've had people come to me and say, I'm ready to do coaching with you. I have been on your newsletter for 5 years, or I've been on your newsletter for 7 years, or I've been on your newsletter for 3 years. Most of my prospects that come directly to me are usually from my newsletter or LinkedIn. So this is why it's so important. It's pulling the prospects to you, attracting them to you instead of pushing out email campaigns. Now, I do email differently than most everybody else. And I'm actually, after I get this cold call course done, I'm going to do an email course because, oh my gosh, I want to pull my hair out over the emails that I see going out. Not only the ones coming into me, but the ones that are going out with the people that I train. I oftentimes they will send me an email and I'll rewrite the whole thing. Just completely rewrite the whole thing. Or they'll send me a brochure that they've developed that they want to send out, and I end up rewriting the brochure. Words matter, and stop pitching and start having the prospect imagine what it would be like working with you. Stories are much more powerful than pitching your benefits and features, and I can teach you how to do that. Okay, number 2, sales are made face to face and over the phone because relationships matter. Be honest. How many deals have you closed through an email? Seriously. How many sales have you closed through an email? Yet everybody wants to hide behind their keyboards, and just blast out emails, email after email after email. There's a sequence that I went through on one of my other lives about emails. My email course is going to go into it much deeper. Now, I'm not pitching my courses here, folks, but I'm telling you there's more to it than just typing out an email and sending it. There's an actual email structure. But you're going to frustrate yourself if you try to sell a product over a cold call or you try to sell through an email. People buy with relationships. Develop a relationship and have a face-to-face conversation or over Zoom, or pick up the phone after you've done a series of follow-ups. Pick up the phone to go over the proposal. Here's a tip. I don't know why my nose is running tonight, but it is. Here's a tip for you. A big tip. I never send out a proposal or a quote and then set up an appointment to go over it. I never do that. I used to do that a long time ago. And I wondered why, after I'd sent out the quote or the proposal, I couldn't get him back for an appointment. They used my quote and proposal to bargain against their current vendor to get a better price. That's what happened. So I don't send out any proposals or quotes until I have booked an appointment with them to go over it, either Zoom or face to face. And I want to suggest that you do that as well. Here's another clue about proposals. Do not give them one choice, give them multiple choices. If you give them one choice and they don't like that choice, they got nowhere to go, so they'll say goodbye. Right? Give them multiple choices. People want choices, so give it to them. Stop sending a proposal with only one option. I send my proposals, they get 3 options, not 1. They pick which is better for them, which is better for their budget, for their department. That's how I do proposals. And actually, I'm including that deep dive into how to do the proposal the right way on the email course. Now, I realize that you can't write a proposal specifically for what you want to say, but you can in an email. Okay. Or you can talk about what you really want to say in that proposal when you meet with them over Zoom or face to face. So if they agree to meet with me over Zoom, when we start the Zoom call, I then press send to send that proposal to them, or I'll attach it onto the Zoom chat so we can review it in real time. That's what I do. Okay. So, there's a lot to say about proposals. When I sold group benefits, the proposal language was all legal and there wasn't anything I could do to change that. But when I met with them and delivered the proposal, I had a lot to say at that point. So do you see what I mean? I hope that's helpful to you. All right. Now, the number one harsh sales advice is this: constantly look for ways to improve. You may have a degree, but you still need to sharpen your skills by continuing to learn. I can't tell you how many times when I have done sales workshops that there's always the one person in the back of the room with their arms crossed like this, not open to learning at all because they took a sales course 20 years ago. So they're good. They don't need to learn anything. And so then when I go around the room and find out who's on track uh, to exceed their sales goals and who's not, generally speaking, the person in the back that thinks they've learned it all with their arms crossed won't even answer the question, which tells me they're not on track. And then slowly throughout the workshop, they'll loosen up and inevitably they'll come to me at the end and say to me, well, you know what? I learned quite a bit. Thank you. Thank you. And I've been doing this, as I have said over and over again, 42 plus years. You see that bookshelf back there? It's mostly business books, sales books, marketing books, all kinds of books, because I don't know it all. Even as much as I have sold over the years, I had $1 million books, multi-million dollar books of business that I sold and managed for insurance companies. I mean, these were not small deals, everyone. These were large deals, important clients that brought in a lot of revenue to insurance companies. Even then, I didn't think I knew it all. I was constantly buying books. I was constantly, if I could go to a class and take time out of work to go, I would pay for it out of my own pocket. You see, when you're willing to pay for it out of your own pocket, we now know that you're eager to learn. I have never stopped being eager to learn. And I can tell you that throughout all these years, that's one thing that I'm grateful about because at one time, I did think I knew it all. I did. And when my sales started plummeting because I thought I knew it all, I had to have a hard conversation with myself and realize that, humble yourself here a little bit, Christine. You don't know it all. And I didn't. And I haven't stopped learning since. If you give yourself one gift, be a continuous student. Always be learning. Okay. All right. I promised you a bonus. And that is one thing I hear all the time. And that is everyone wants discipline. We're all moaning and groaning about, oh, I wish I was more disciplined. But we're also complaining about staying consistent with discipline. Oh, it's just so hard. Well, discipline can only happen in one way, and that's by creating habits. Habits are the foundation for discipline. If you establish good selling habits, you will get the discipline. It just all goes back to mindset. I mean, I've lost so many sales in the past because my mindset was all wrong. And just like you, I didn't want to appear pushy or salesy, but that's exactly how I showed up because I didn't know how to sell. So here's a harsh sales advice. Stop doing what you've always done and start learning new ways to focus your mindset on discovering new ways to sell. And I wish I knew this decades ago, but I got stuck in my mind on the wheel of it's not the sales process. I just have to work harder. I can't tell you how wrong thinking that is. If you approach sales with an mindset of serving and helping and wanting to solve the prospect's problem, the salesy part, the pushy part will all melt away because now you're serving and helping. You're not selling. Does that make sense, everyone? So I want to end by offering this freebie. And you'll get this freebie by giving me your email address, and your email address will get you the Savvy Sales Lady newsletter. It comes out once a week, sometimes every other week, depends on my schedule and how busy I am. You won't be getting emails week or daily from me. You might get 2 a week, but that's about it. Now, once my cold call course is out, you might get more frequent emails. But normally, I only email about once a week. So, the offer I want to give you is something that I developed called Tomorrow's Sales Begin Tonight. And I got the sweetest email from a woman who's a nurse. And, I don't know how she found me, but she started following me and listening to, my YouTube channel, and she said that even though she doesn't she's not in sales, which I argue she really is. Can you imagine trying to convince patients in a hospital room that are sick and afraid to do the things you want them to do? She really is in sales. She's helping them every way she can. She says this tomorrow's sales begin tonight really helped her with her mornings. So I'm going to offer that again as a freebie, and I will put the link in the description area below so you can grab it. Okay. And, your sales don't begin tomorrow morning, they begin tonight. They absolutely begin tonight. And I really hope that this freebie will help you. So I'm going to sign off. I hope that this helps you to have a harsh sales conversation with yourself and get real, right? Stop the excuses and remember sales is a journey, not a quick trip around the block. I wish you all good night and stay savvy. Bye bye.